Chapter 7. Price of Liberty. Stunned by her own actions, Ivory found herself replaying the sequence of events in a loop within her mind. The bus had been in motion, the sense of security reinforced by the movement. Yet amidst this perceived safety, a jolt of alarm surged through her as a fleeting image materialized. The glimpse of a pistol barrel, ominously directed at them from the driver outside the door. While flames belched from the barrel, an odd absence of noise struck Ivory's consciousness, a discordant note in the chaotic symphony of the moment. Her mind raced, attempting to decipher the anomaly, but before the thought could fully crystallize, instinct took over. In one fluid motion, her hand lunged toward the dashboard, seeking the reassuring solidity of Jared's shotgun. The familiarity of the weapon grounded her, despite the turmoil that surrounded them. With practiced efficiency, she steadied the shotgun, her gaze narrowing on the guard sprawled outside the bus's door. Yet, as the bus continued its slow movement, the space where the guard once lay became a void. In the span of a breath, the landscape shifted, and the target eluded her sights. The abrupt transition between action and motion left her grappling with a twinge of frustration, a testament to the ephemeral nature of chaos and the split-second decisions it demanded. Then she spotted it once more, the barrel of his pistol appearing and then disappearing. She knew the former bus driver was running alongside the slow-moving bus to jump on, and that was something she was not about to allow. Ivory was keenly aware of the primal instincts that surged in moments of crisis. Having previously experienced the instinct of flight, she now found herself operating in a different mode. Fight. Her thoughts aligned, her focus sharpened, and the shotgun became an extension of her intent. Ivory positioned the shotgun's barrel where she anticipated the former driver's reappearance. Her breath slowed, the cadence of each inhale and exhale a rhythm of concentration. The maelstrom of chaos around her seemed to diminish, eclipsed by her clear intent to protect. Time seemed to stretch as she held her ground, her senses honed, and her instincts poised. And then, as if scripted by fate, the former driver and United Nations soldier swung into view, clambering through the doorway by the loading handle. In the fraction of an instant, Ivory's finger found the trigger, and with profound precision, she fired. The unfolding scene possessed an eerie beauty, as if time itself slowed to accommodate the gravity of the moment. The former driver, poised for another shot, was met with a brutal end. The gunshot erupted, and his head, once resolute, shattered into fragments that painted the air in a gruesome dance of destruction. Now she stared at the most gruesome sight of her life standing in the doorway, frozen in place. He stood with only his bottom jaw remaining. Grabbing hold of the loading pole in front of her, she kicked out, sending the grisly sight from the bus. That is when another of her basic instincts took over: fright. She remained there, gripping the pole with shotgun in hand, unsure how to process what had just happened or what to do next. Ivory didn't even notice she had been screaming, "Leave us alone!" repeatedly after kicking. Miss, hey lady!" The urgency in the voices pierced through the aftermath, coming from within the caged confines of the bus. In the wake of her action, a sense of shock and disbelief enveloped Ivory. She stood, grappling with the reality of what she had just done, the weight of taking another human life. The cacophony of voices within the bus, growing louder by the moment, served as a jarring reminder of the immediate needs at hand. The stark dichotomy between the life she had just extinguished and the lives clamoring for help within the vehicle pulled her out of her reverie. Reality shifted abruptly, like a pendulum swinging from one extreme to another. The demands of the present, the urgency of the situation, and the lives hanging in the balance reasserted themselves, compelling her to act. The intricate tangle of emotions, shock, responsibility, and the rawness of survival painted a vivid tableau of human instinct and complexity. "Yes, let me see what I can do to get you out." Ivory addressed those asking for freedom. Several miles away, the bus came to a halt in front of a rugged biker bar. Without a word, Jared leaned over the steering wheel, his voice carrying the weight of his emotions in just 3 simple words: "Love you, Ivory." Turning towards him, Ivory's heart ached with the intensity of the moment. She sensed something amiss, a heaviness that settled over the scene. Her eyes caught the dark liquid pooling around Jared's feet, its reflective surface mirroring the truth that was too clear to deny. The reality of the situation hit her like a physical blow. He was injured, wounded in a way that words didn't need to express. In that unspoken exchange, the depth of their connection, their shared experiences, and the fragility of life converged. The biker bar's exterior seemed to fade into the background as their unspoken bond took center stage. The layers of emotion, the gravity of the moment, and the unspoken sentiments painted a canvas of stark poignancy. "Let me out, I'm a doctor!" a voice now called out to her. Removing the keys from the ignition, Ivory's fingers fumbled as she searched for the right one to unlock the cage door. After a couple of attempts, her persistence paid off, and the door swung open. However, what greeted her was a flood of pent-up flight instinct, manifesting in a chaotic surge of bodies rushing out of the bus. Caught off guard, Ivory was thrust backward, her body colliding with Jared's. The bus transformed into a whirlwind of motion as people scrambled for safety, driven by the urgency to escape. The rush subsided. A few individuals remained, their decisions guided by different instincts or circumstances. Among them was the doctor, a steady presence amidst the turmoil. With a helping hand extended, he aided Ivory to her feet, the gesture a testament to the camaraderie that had formed in the face of adversity. In this snapshot of chaos and cohesion, the intricacies of human instinct were laid bare. Flight and connection intertwined, converging in a scene that echoed the fragility of life, the unpredictability of moments, and the depth of resilience that binds people in times of turmoil. After a quick examination of Jared, he turned to Ivory and the others. "We need to get him off the bus and inside so I can get a better look at him. Carefully take his arms and legs. Miss, go inside and clear of a spot and gather clean towels and high-grade alcohol." With a reluctant parting from Jared's side, Ivory gripped the shotgun and dashed into the bar's interior. The scene that greeted her was unexpected. 5 bikers and an elderly female bartender seemed remarkably unfazed by her sudden entrance, a reaction that ran contrary to her anticipation of surprise or alarm. "My husband has been shot by those damn blue helmets. We're bringing him in." As Ivory's words hung in the air, the scene within the bar continued to unfold. Without delay, 2 of the 3 bikers diverted their attention toward the rear of the establishment, their purpose unknown. Meanwhile, Jared was ushered through the entrance, drawing the old bartender's immediate focus. With a practiced hand, the bartender directed the newcomers to an available spot at the bar. But rather than attending solely to their needs, she also seemed to possess a command of the situation as her voice carried across the establishment. Her words rang out, laced with a blend of authority and exasperation, as she questioned the motives of those who had headed to the back of the bar. "You bringing them supplies or taking a goddamn nap?" Her tone filled with sarcasm and impatience, underscoring her no-nonsense attitude. Just then, Ivory saw the men appear with boxes of medical supplies, even an IV pole with a bag already attached. Amazed, Ivory looked toward the lady behind the bar. "Not our first time. We don't really get to visit the ER when shit goes wrong in our life. So we like to be prepared. Anyone who resists those damn blue helmets are good company to us. I'm Lydia. What's yours, darling?" "Ivory, thanks for your help, Lydia." As Ivory turned to where Jared had been placed on the bar's countertop, a surge of fear gripped her. The removal of Jared's shirt revealed not just 1, but 2 bullet holes. The gravity of the situation hit her hard, intensifying the tension in the room and highlighting the precariousness of their predicament. "Keep pressure on it," Doc ordered to those around him. "What is his blood type?" he asked promptly. Ivory thought for just a second. AB negative. I am a plus. Shit, it had to be. Anyone here AB negative or O negative? Doc looked around the room to no responses, then spotted another guy walked from the rear of the bar. "You. What's your blood type?" "O negative." The rough biker's response was both swift and unhesitating. His demeanor remained unperturbed by the question, almost as if he had anticipated this turn of events. Acting with a practiced efficiency, he removed his leather vest, then his shirt, and finally replaced his leather vest. The sequence unfolded smoothly, as though he were accustomed to providing blood transfusions in such situations, revealing a level of preparation that spoke volumes about the trials and experiences he had weathered before. Ivory's gaze remained fixed on Jared, as concern and awe filled her. As the intricate workings of the city's underworld unfolded before her eyes, she couldn't help but be both impressed and anxious. Her attention snapped back to her husband as a faint moan escaped his lips, propelling her into action. Rushing to his side, she took his hand in hers, her grip firm with worry. A rush of emotion surged through her as she felt his skin, cold, clammy, and pallid against her touch. The urgency of the situation enveloped her, an awareness that time was slipping through their fingers. The stark reality of his condition loomed large, and she knew that decisive action was imperative if they were to have any chance of saving him. "We have to get him to a hospital now," she shouted in vain as those around her, including the doctor working on Jared, continued with what they were doing, dismissing her outburst. "Come on, call an ambulance," Ivory demanded. "Honey, drink this, you need it." Lydia held out a 2-shot glass of bourbon she had just poured. "I don't want a drink, I want an ambulance," Ivory stated abrasively. Looking up from working on Jared, Doc looked to Ivory. "Take it doctor's orders." Frustrated, Ivory took the glass and knocked it back just for the sake of shutting down the topic. Seconds after she felt the calmest, she had been in hours. "I am not a drinker. What was that? It really burned." Lydia laughed. "Everclear, baby. Strongest stuff we carry." She still persisted in her plea for an ambulance, her voice now carrying a more composed and authoritative tone. "We are good people, never hurt anyone before today. Why will you not call us an ambulance and let us take our chances?" Lydia pointed up to the TVs that have been playing in the background this entire event. "Darlin', have you not been listening to what is going on outside? It is all going to shit out there. They're looking for you and many others that have resisted confiscation of their weapons. Hospitals are overrunning and ambulances are all down or out on calls. The best chance your man there has is here. Just be lucky you have a real doctor." Amid the chaos, the blaring TV broadcasts finally reached Ivory's ears. The scenes depicted cars exploding in an attempt to breach a military post in Missouri, and locals engaging in clashes against soldiers in blue helmets. These surreal images seemed to mirror the turbulence that had gripped the country. In a rhetorical sigh, Ivory questioned the sanity of it all. Her attention, however, quickly snapped back to Jared, a stark reminder of the personal battles playing out amidst the larger turmoil. The dissonance between the national chaos and the immediate concern for her husband highlighted the complex interplay between the broader world and the intimately personal moments that defined their reality. "Has the world gone mad?" she asked, returning her attention back to Jared. "Ivory? Ivory, the YouTuber, right?" the man asked excitedly, as a tube transported blood from his arm down to her husband's. "Yes, that's me. At least it was till the crackdown," Ivory said softly as she stroked Jared's cold white arm, while Doc worked at extracting the last bullet and slowing blood loss. "Awesome, I love your show. I'm Tank, happy to be helping." Looking up to the man donating his blood to keep her husband alive, Ivory replied, "Tank, I am also very happy to have met you." Just then she heard a groan come from Jared. "You safe, my love?" Jared's faint voice emerged, his eyes struggling to stay open. Ivory leaned in, her hands tenderly cupping his face, her touch a soothing balm amidst the chaos. "Yes, my love, you've kept us safe," she reassured him with a gentle sincerity, her lips finding his in a kiss that conveyed more than words ever could. Her heart ached as she sensed the coldness of his lips, a stark reminder of the fragility of the moment. Her concern surged as she turned towards the doctor who was tending to Jared's wounds. The gravity of the situation was evident in the blood-soaked towel pressed against his side, and the doctor's demeanor spoke volumes. With a subdued shake of his head, the doctor's voice took on a somber tone. "There is just too much damage to his liver if it had been just 2 inches over. he began, his words carrying the weight of the prognosis. The magnitude of what might have been if the injury had shifted slightly hung heavily in the air, a testament to the fine line between life and death. "Ivory!" Jared's voice trembled, his fading strength pushing his words through the weight of his pain. "I hate you, my love." His voice, though strained, carried the sentiment that had transcended their journey together. Ivory felt her heart beating uncontrollably, hearing Jared, and comprehended the doctor's unspoken message as her attention shifted back to Jared. Another kiss shared between them carried a bittersweet weight, the silent farewell that words couldn't express. Her heartache was evident as a solitary tear traced its way down her cheek, a silent acknowledgement of the finality of his passing. Refusing to let the image of his lifeless state be the lasting memory, Ivory pressed her lips to his once more, a gesture of love and parting. Her gaze averted, unable to bear the sight, she directed her request for a drink towards Lydia. "Give me another drink, Lydia," she requested, her voice tinged with grief. As the doctor and Ivory gently covered Jared's form with a sheet, the complexity of emotions in the room painted a poignant picture of loss, resilience, and the myriad ways in which people navigate the chaotic currents of life. Having dealt with family members who had grappled with prolonged grief from the loss of loved ones, Ivory was well aware that confronting such emotions directly was crucial. However, this awareness did little to alleviate the overwhelming pain that now gripped her. Accepting the drink from Lydia, she settled beside her deceased husband at the bar, her eyes welling with tears. Time seemed to stretch, each second dragging like a heavy burden as she sat in silence, the glass clutched in her hand. The liquid within became a refuge, something to hold on to amidst the tempest of emotions that raged within her. Suddenly, amidst the somber stillness, something on the TV seized her attention. The outside world intruded upon her grief, momentarily diverting her focus. It was a reminder that life continued, that the world outside this bar was still turning, regardless of the anguish that consumed her. Along the bottom of the screen scrolled, "News report, Commander Captain Sawyer of the once 138th Missouri Infantry Unit, now calling themselves the United Constitutional Militia, speaks of the day's events. We have fought long and hard to be here today, and we will fight long and hard tomorrow. We, the men and women of the United Constitutional Militia, will never stop living up to the oath we have taken. We ask that all those who have taken the same oath to defend the Constitution of these United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, stand with us as we do so. To those who have not taken such an oath, I ask that you decide how important your country is, and what you will do when they come for you or your family. There is nothing we as Americans cannot accomplish as long as we stay." Amidst the quiet of the bar, the television shattered the stillness with the sound of 2 gunshots. The camera's unyielding gaze remained fixed on the speaker who had been shot, capturing the raw intensity of the moment. In the wake of the shots, the scene unfolded in all its harrowing detail. The collective eyes of those in the bar were drawn to the screen, witnessing the unthinkable. A woman, her voice a desperate scream, rushed to the fallen figure, the anguish etched on her face. Covered in his blood, the stark reality of the violence that had erupted outside seemed to seep into the very walls of the bar, a chilling reminder of the turmoil that had engulfed the world beyond those doors yet, once more. As the tragic scene unfolded on the screen, a blonde reporter appeared, her own struggle to maintain composure evident in her demeanor. The camera shifted to capture her presence, the weight of her words adding to the gravity of the unfolding events. In this poignant moment, the emotions rippling through the bar found an echo in the expressions of those watching the broadcast. The reporter's efforts to convey the unfolding tragedy mirrored the anguish that seemed to pervade the air, connecting the realm of the bar to the larger world outside. "I am Sandra Wheeler, and what you have just witnessed is the assassination of a great man by those your government invited into the United States. Captain Sawyer served his country with the highest honor and was assassinated by the United Nations. Those here in the States, here to take your constitutional rights by order of our own government, because they knew our own soldiers would not. These brave men have sacrificed even What the hell happened? Get it back! The agitation in the bar escalated, a rumbling of discontent spreading among the bikers. However, Lydia's attempt to regain control by aiming the remote at the TVs was cut short by an abrupt power outage. Darkness swallowed the bar, leaving them all in the dim light that filtered through the windows. As the uncertain ambience held them all, Ivory rose from her seat. Her words, though decisive, carried a sense of urgency. We need to move quickly and get rid of that UN personnel bus from out front of this place. Any suggestions? She declared. The gravity of their situation was profound, the need to take action pressing upon them. Ivory's question hung in the air, a call for suggestions that would guide their next moves amidst the shadowy uncertainty that now surrounded them. Bring it around back. We have a garage large enough to hold it. Tank will show you. Lydia's suggestion cut through the uncertainty, offering a plan of action. The resolve in her voice was a rallying point in the midst of the darkness that had descended. Without hesitation, Tank stepped up, taking the lead. Ivory followed, the weight of her grief accompanied by the numbing reality of the task at hand. As she passed Jared's covered body, her touch lingered, a silent farewell that refused to admit the truth of his passing. Climbing up into the bus, Ivory overheard Tank's muttered words. "Damn, your man was a fighter." A testament to the impact of the scene before them. The presence of so much blood and the evidence of the struggle that had taken place were stark reminders of the brutality of the situation. "Yes, he was. Here," she said, handing him a towel to wipe Jared's pooled blood from the seat. "Thanks, Ev." "I prefer Ivory, Tank," she corrected him instantly. "Got it," he replied, firing up the bus. As he began to take off from where they were parked in front of the bar, they noticed no other cars were moving, and some had even crashed into others. Sticking his head out the side window, Tank shouted, "Get the hell out of the way! Move it already!" Noticing they were the only vehicle with a running engine, Ivory remembered a show she had done on EMP effects and aftermath. "Tank, you remember the show I did on EMP about 2 years ago?" "Oh, shit," was his only acknowledgement. "That is what I believe has happened, and this bus was insulated against EMP." Her words held a weightier sense of concern, reflecting the growing unease that had settled over the situation. "We have to get this inside. People will be trying to take it after they figure out what has happened," Ivory remarked. A faint smile tugged at Tank's lips. A glimmer appeared in his eyes. He wasted no time, forcefully navigating through the vehicles clogging the streets. There was an unmistakable urgency to his actions, a sense that time was of the essence. The streets, luckily less crowded at this time of day due to the ongoing government activities, offered a degree of cooperation in this unexpected mission. Sparing little concern for the collateral damage that his path left behind, the urgency of their mission seemed to override any hesitation. Their progress remained relatively swift, considering the circumstances, and soon they rounded a corner, the narrow alleyway leading them closer to their destination. With crunching of mirrors against obstacles creating a minor setback, a reminder of the risks they were taking. As the garage door swung open, revealing the haven within, their newly formed comrades were already in motion. Motorcycles and cars were being shifted out of the way, a collaborative effort to ensure that the UN personnel bus could find a secure shelter. In this orchestrated chaos, the collective will to protect their refuge. "Shit, everything in the garage is dead. Even my bike. Damn commie bastards," Tank said, knowing his bike was most likely scrap metal. Stepping off the bus after pulling into the garage, Ivory ran over to help close the large roll-down doors. With the bus secured, she turned to the others. "Are all the bikes and cars in here dead?" "Son of a bitch," she heard one of the others scream out after attempting to kickstart his bike. "It's fried." "I'll take that as yes." "Do you have shovels?" Ivory asked next. "Yes, but what for?" "Oh yeah?" one of the other bikers asked, then remembered her husband laying dead on their bar. "Yes, I can't leave him there. I must bury him. Just show me the shovel in a nice spot." Ivory requested, knowing they had already done a great deal for her and Jared. Looking around to each other, Tank nodded to each before saying, "We've got you, sister." Time passed quickly as they worked in unison, driven by both necessity. An hour later, a final resting place had been prepared alongside the foundation of the bar. With a heavy heart, Ivory stood by, ready to bid her husband a final farewell. Gently, they lowered Jared's body into the grave. Ivory's voice carried soft, loving words, an intimate gesture amidst the somber moment. As the earth was carefully returned to its place, covering his body, the reality of his absence became all too real. With the last shovel of dirt landing on the grave, the weight of the moment settled over her. The contrast between the promise of the morning and the tragedy of the day's end hung heavy in the air, a reminder of the unforgiving reach of a tyrannical government. The world, once full of hope and possibility, had turned dark and uncertain, leaving Ivory to navigate a future shrouded in both grief and resistance.